are willing to take, a $500,000 or $1 million hit on a trade, to get back to where they felt more in sync with the market, that they may have had to go back to only trading 1,000 shares. And see, and when you're working in a corporate situation like that, with other traders, that's often a hard thing to do, but that's exactly what they needed to do. I suggest to people that look at it this way. Paper trading. Okay, a lot of people who teach trading say that there's no point in someone paper trading because there's oftentimes a huge difference between the results they'll experience paper trading and what they'll experience when their real money's on the line. Yeah, because there's no real money on the line. In other words, I'm sure there are probably a substantial number of viewers out there who can make consistent money following their methodology, paper trading, and then they start doing real trading, and everything changes. Okay, well, and so a lot of teachers have said, well, there's no point in paper trading because there's no correlation between the results. Well, that's not really true because what paper trading can do for people is very beneficial. One, it's a graphic demonstration of the gap that exists in terms of mental skills that they need to acquire. In other words, it's a good way to get familiarize yourself with your trading platform. It's a good way to really get confident with your method or jobs. And so, because our minds have this tendency to associate, it can make it difficult to accept the loss. So a lot of times what people would have to do, and they also would find difficult to do because a lot of times people get into trading because they want to impress their friends or their family, like I'm a trader. Right. But what they might have to do is that when they graduate from paper trading, they might just, the amount of risk tolerance they have might only be just 10 shares and risking $1 on those 10 shares. And you think, well, what's the point of that? Well, the point of that is that, when you can trade those 10 shares flawlessly based on whatever your methodology says and do it without any fear or
because you were able to make those trades in the paper. I mean, you made those trades in the paper.
Then you can go to 20 shares and see how that feels. Then you go to 30 and gradually work your way up. And people aren't willing to gradually work their way up.
This is a concept that we've never even talked about. I've never actually heard it put this way, Mark. I have to be honest with you, where you look at your paper trading account as